Hey guys, today we dive into something rarely spoken about but deeply felt, the subtle shift in your body after 60. You might feel it on a quiet morning when your feet are slow to warm, or during those private moments when connection feels more like memory than sensation. You pause, wondering if this is just what aging feels like. But today you're going to challenge that idea. Because what if the answer isn't in another pill bottle or a fancy therapy, but in something simple like a piece of fruit? Imagine sweet red grapes, cool and bursting on your tongue. Not just delicious but working inside you, opening vessels, feeding flow, waking up what time tried to dim. Take care of your health, live healthy. Yes, even with something as ordinary as fruit. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Oh, and drop your location and local time in the comments. I love knowing where and when you're tuning in from. Now listen to the treatments and measures to improve your health. You reach into your fridge and grab a small bunch of red grapes. Seems innocent enough, right? But with every bite, something remarkable begins. Deep inside your blood vessels, resveratrol gets to work. This antioxidant compound, tucked in the skin of those red orbs, signals your body to relax its arteries. It whispers to your blood flow, open up. And in that soft permission you find power. Red grapes don't act like a surge, they act like a reminder. A memory in your body that says, you were made to move, to feel, to connect. You've probably heard of nitric oxide before. It's the molecule that helps blood vessels expand. Resveratrol boosts that. Gently. Consistently. No side effects. No warnings, printed in size 4 font. Now think back. Remember when your hands and feet always felt warm? When your heart didn't race just from climbing stairs? When intimacy felt spontaneous instead of scheduled? Red grapes start to unwind the knots of aging. One quiet expansion at a time. It's funny how we overlook the obvious. A fruit bowl ignored. A snack you brush past on your way to something more serious. But science often hides in the familiar. And here's the kicker: older men who eat red grapes daily often notice firmer erections. Not overnight, but as if the body slowly remembers what it can do. Why? Because better circulation doesn't just mean more energy, it means responsiveness, vitality, presence. Women, you're not left out here. In fact, red grapes have a profound effect on the female body too. As estrogen levels shift, so does pelvic circulation. Red grapes, through resveratrol and vascular nourishment, help restore sensation, warmth, and moisture. Not chemically, not forcefully, but naturally. And here's a strange little fact. The lower half of your body is often the first to lose circulation as you age. Cold toes, numbness, lack of response. Why? Gravity. Your heart has to work harder to get blood down there and back up. Red grapes support that uphill climb. It's like giving your heart a spotter at the gym. Have you ever wondered why nature packs so much power into the skins of fruits? Scientists debate whether this was evolutionary design or coincidence. But what's agreed upon is this. The skins of red grapes carry enough resveratrol to shift how your arteries behave. That's a big deal. There's also something spiritual about it, isn't there? Grapes are in ancient texts. They've been symbols of abundance, sensuality, celebration. Maybe our ancestors knew something we forgot. That what we need isn't always new. Sometimes it's what we've stopped noticing. So tomorrow morning, instead of a processed granola bar, why not start with a cup of red grapes? Try eating them slowly. Savor them without distraction. Notice how your mouth waters, how your shoulders drop. Let the taste be your reminder. You're still here. You still deserve pleasure, energy, and closeness. You're not chasing youth, you're restoring balance. And while you chew, here's something to ponder. If something as simple as grapes can nudge your circulation in the right direction, what else have we been missing? Experts still debate whether diet alone can fully restore vascular elasticity in older adults, but the signs are promising. You'll start to feel the shift. Maybe not instantly, but gradually. You'll stand up a little faster. Your limbs will tingle after a walk. You'll sleep more soundly, knowing your heart's not struggling in silence. It's not about turning back the clock. It's about turning toward what works. So next time you see grapes, don't see a snack. See a signal. One that says your body still listens. It still responds. You just have to feed it what it remembers. You walk into the bedroom and pause. Something's different. Not painful, not dramatic, just a quiet sense of distance. The kind of space that doesn't need words to feel real. You turn the lights off and climb into bed, careful not to let the silence stretch too far. But inside you wonder, is this what happens with age? Is this slow fading of touch and closeness just normal? Let me stop you right there, because it's not inevitable. You probably remember the benefits of drinking enough water every day. It keeps your skin supple, your digestion smooth, and your energy balanced. But what water does for hydration, blood flow does for connection. When your circulation begins to slow, you might not notice it at first. Maybe it takes a little longer to warm up after sitting. Maybe hugs don't linger the same way. And yes, maybe intimacy turns into routine or disappears altogether. The body isn't turning against you. It's just trying to adapt. But the truth is, when blood flow declines, intimacy becomes harder. Not just physically, but emotionally too. Why? Because touch isn't just about mechanics. It's about sensation, warmth, responsiveness, all of which are deeply tied to circulation. Your skin holds thousands of sensory receptors, but if blood can't reach them, how can they light up? Without healthy blood flow, your nerves grow quiet, your muscles slacken, and your hormones stumble through their rhythms. Have you ever felt colder lately, even when the room is warm? That could be a sign your extremities aren't getting the blood they need. And while that might seem unrelated to connection, it's not. When your body doesn't feel, your spirit often pulls back too. We withdraw, not because we want to, but because something inside isn't firing like it used to. And that's where these fruits begin to matter even more. They don't just support circulation. They support feeling. Red grapes may be the flow restorer, but every fruit we'll talk about has its own special role in reviving what you once took for granted. And yes, it matters for both men and women. Because intimacy isn't about performance, it's about presence. The ability to feel, to respond, to melt into a shared moment without discomfort or disconnection dragging you back to reality. Here's something you might find surprising. Sexual desire and satisfaction are more influenced by blood vessel health than most people realize. Experts still debate whether intimacy after 60 is primarily driven by hormones, lifestyle, or mental attitude, but nearly everyone agrees that poor circulation is a silent saboteur. So what can you do? You feed your body what opens the gates, what warms the skin and wakes up the nerves. You make choices that support the rhythm of your own blood, and by extension, the rhythm of your relationship. Start small. Maybe you start walking again. Maybe you add a new fruit into your breakfast bowl. Maybe you drink an extra glass of water with your meals. None of these scream revolution, but give it a few weeks. You'll start to notice. Your hands are warmer. Your thoughts feel clearer. And maybe, just maybe, you reach across the bed again without overthinking it. You see, fading intimacy isn't always about loss of love. Often it's a physical shift in how your body functions. But the beauty of biology is that it responds. Slowly, gently, reliably, when given the right signals. So don't be hard on yourself if you've been feeling distant, frustrated, or quietly confused about why things aren't as they used to be. Your body's just waiting for a nudge. And when blood begins to flow freely again, so does connection. It's not about fireworks. It's about warmth, about sensation, about being able to lay close without discomfort, without distraction, without doubt. Let's ask something simple. What if every meal could be a form of intimacy prep? What if each bite of the right fruit could nudge your body back toward responsiveness, toward confidence? You're not imagining the shift. It's real. But what's also real is your ability to change it. There's no shame in needing support. The shame is in believing you don't deserve to feel connected anymore. So tonight, if you feel that quiet space again, that pause that used to be passion, don't sink into it. Walk through it. One small change, one fruit at a time. Because when you support circulation, you support everything else that matters. And remember, you haven't lost the spark. It's just waiting for a little oxygen. You peel the soft skin off a ripe papaya and notice the color. It's not just orange. It's sunrise. It glows like something that wants to wake you up from the inside out. You scoop out the seeds, maybe thinking they look like tiny black pearls, and take that first spoonful. Sweet, cool, and smooth. It's not just food. It's medicine disguised as fruit. That first bite? That's where your energy begins to return. You probably already know that testosterone plays a major role in male vitality. What you might not know is that testosterone doesn't just disappear after 60. It often declines because your body stops supporting it properly. Papaya changes that. It's rich in enzymes that calm inflammation and vitamins that fuel hormone production. That's a powerful combo. And here's a twist you might not expect. Papaya doesn't act like a booster. It acts like a regulator. It doesn't push you beyond your natural limit. Brings you back to center. Remember when we talked about digestion? Here's the connection. If your gut is sluggish, your entire system drags. Poor digestion means poor nutrient absorption. Papaya, with its enzyme papain, helps break down proteins, reduces bloating, and clears space for energy to move. It's like decluttering your internal hallways so life can flow through again. One surprising fact: the majority of your serotonin, a feel-good hormone, lives not in your brain but in your gut. That means when digestion improves, mood often lifts. Experts still debate whether emotional intimacy begins in the mind or the belly, but those who eat papaya regularly often report feeling lighter, happier, more open. Now let's talk men specifically. I once met a retired school principal, let's call him Joe. He was 68, ate clean, exercised, but felt off. No spark, no motivation, no intimacy for months. His wife was understanding, but he felt distant from himself. We added one thing to his routine: half a papaya with Greek yogurt every morning. Within 3 weeks, Joe was sleeping better. Within 6, his energy was back. And by 2 months, he told me with a grin and a blush, "We're back to Sunday mornings again." It wasn't magic. It was minerals, enzymes, and consistency. Papaya contains vitamin A for hormonal health, vitamin C to reduce stress, and vitamin E to improve blood flow. It's not a pill. It's not a stimulant. It's a slow, steady yes. And women, let's not leave you out. Papaya works wonders here too. As estrogen fluctuates, so do moods, lubrication, and pelvic circulation. Papaya supports adrenal health, helping regulate stress hormones like cortisol, which are notorious for dampening intimacy. The result? More comfort, more connection, more confidence. You might have been told this part of life is a downward slope. But what if it's just a curve, and you're at the part where things turn upward again? That glow in your cheeks after a brisk walk? That's circulation. That soft feeling of ease after a papaya bowl? That's hormonal harmony. It's not just about getting through the day. It's about enjoying the day. Wanting to reach out, to hold hands again, to feel more than just okay. Here's another surprising detail. Papaya's antioxidants help repair blood vessel walls. When those vessels stay elastic and strong, blood moves more freely to every part of the body, including those intimate areas. Think of it like tuning your body's internal wiring so the current flows without resistance. So tomorrow morning, stand at your kitchen counter, open a papaya, and just watch it. Let it remind you that food can be colorful, playful, and full of hope. This isn't about being young again. It's about being you again. You deserve that. Ask yourself this: if energy can return through something as simple as a spoonful of fruit, what else could come back? You're not just eating for nutrients. You're eating to wake something up. Something that's still inside you, quietly waiting its turn. And as you begin to feel better, don't be surprised if your laugh gets louder, your step gets quicker, and yes, your hand finds its way into someone else's a little more often. This is how it begins. With papaya. With presence. With permission to feel good again. You drop a few cherries into a small bowl, and sit by the window as the day softens into evening. There's something about cherries, isn't there? The deep velvet red. The way they beg to be eaten slowly. You don't rush cherries. You experience them bite by bite. And that's exactly how they work inside your body too. Slowly. Gently. But oh so deeply. Cherries are intimacy food, and not just in a romantic sense. They speak to your whole system. Your heart, your hormones, your sleep, and your emotional rhythm. These aren't just sweet snacks. They're quiet architects of circulation and calm. Let's start with the heart. You already know that a strong heart is key to good health. What you might not know is that cherries are packed with anthocyanins, antioxidants that reduce inflammation in your blood vessels. That means your arteries stay flexible, your blood flows smoother, and your heart doesn't have to work overtime just to keep up. And here's the real magic. When blood flows freely, it reaches the places that matter for intimacy. For men, that means better erections, firm, lasting, and natural. For women, it means increased pelvic blood flow, improved lubrication, and restored comfort during closeness. But there's another layer to cherries that most people overlook: melatonin. Yes, that's the hormone that regulates your sleep. And cherries, particularly tart ones, contain it naturally. When you eat cherries in the evening, you're not just giving your body antioxidants, you're helping it wind down, restore, and rebalance. Now think about the last time you had a really good night's sleep. Remember how clear your mind felt? How your body seemed to move easier the next day? That's not coincidence. That's hormone regulation in action. Experts still debate whether sleep is the single biggest predictor of hormonal balance, but one thing's certain. When you sleep better, everything else starts to align, including desire, mood, and connection. I once spoke with a couple in their late 60s. They'd been married over 40 years, loved each other deeply, but admitted they felt off. Not distant in affection, but in energy. The wife shared quietly that they hadn't been intimate in months, not because they didn't want to be, but because her husband seemed emotionally foggy and physically drained. No spark. They started a simple ritual: a shared bowl of cherries before bed, every night. 2 months later, they were laughing again, holding hands in my office. They said it wasn't a sudden change, but a gentle one, like a fog lifting slowly. They were sleeping better, feeling more rested, and rediscovering what it meant to be partners, not just housemates. That's the cherry effect. And let's not forget stress. Life doesn't stop piling on the responsibilities just because we've reached a certain age. Whether it's caring for grandchildren, managing health appointments, or navigating retirement anxieties, stress sits heavy. Cherries help lighten that load. By reducing cortisol, the stress hormone, they let your body remember peace. And what happens when peace returns? The doors to closeness reopen. You feel safer, more relaxed, more present. Here's a surprising fact. The blood vessels that support sexual function are incredibly small, microscopic, in fact. That means they're among the first to be affected by inflammation or poor circulation. But cherries, through their anti-inflammatory action, protect these vessels. They preserve your body's ability to feel and respond. So when you hold a cherry in your hand, know this: you're not just holding fruit. You're holding a tool, a quiet key to restoring intimacy. Not in some grand dramatic way, but in the simple act of showing up more fully. And maybe that's what intimacy really is after 60. Not about perfection or performance, but about presence. About sitting close on the couch, laughing at a show, brushing fingertips without hesitation. About feeling light enough to reach out again, without fear or fatigue holding you back. Have you ever noticed how cherries make you pause? The pit forces you to eat slower, to savor. That pause is sacred. It's where you begin to feel again, not just in your mouth, but in your spirit. So the next time you feel disconnected from your partner or yourself, don't rush to fix it with grand gestures or awkward conversations. Start small. Start with cherries. Let the blood flow, let the heart calm, let the sleep come deeper. Because when you nourish your body from the inside out, intimacy stops being something you chase and becomes something you naturally return to. You deserve that return. You really do. You pour a small handful of dried cranberries into your palm. They look like tiny rubies, shrunk by time but no less brilliant. You toss a few into your mouth and let the tartness bite you awake. It's sharp, clean, alive. That little jolt? That's exactly what cranberries do inside your body too. Especially where it counts most in your later years. See, cranberries are more than a festive side dish. They're kidney guardians, urinary tract defenders, and unsung heroes of your intimate well-being. You might not have thought about your kidneys today, or this week, but they've been working for you quietly non-stop. Filtering, flushing, balancing. And when they struggle, the effects ripple out in ways you don't immediately link to them. Let's break it down. Your kidneys help regulate blood pressure, filter toxins, and maintain fluid balance. But as you age, they can get overworked, underhydrated, or inflamed. And when they begin to slow down, circulation suffers, blood vessels get stressed, and waste products build up in your body. You feel tired. You lose edge. And yes, intimacy can start to feel distant too. Now think back. Have you ever had a moment where everything felt a bit dull? You weren't sick, just off. Not quite there emotionally. Not as physically responsive. Could be sleep. Could be stress. But often it's a system like your kidneys waving a little flag, saying, "Hey, I need backup." That's where cranberries enter the scene. They're packed with proanthocyanidins, a mouthful of a word that simply means compounds that keep your urinary tract clear and your blood vessels healthier. They stop bacteria from sticking to the bladder wall. They fight inflammation in the urinary system. They ease the hidden tensions that can quietly erode desire and comfort. And here's something worth noting. Chronic, low-grade urinary issues in older adults often go untreated or misdiagnosed. But their effects are very real: irritation, discomfort during intimacy, reduced libido, even avoidance. Especially in women. I once spoke with a woman in her early 70s. Let's call her Grace. For years she'd silently suffered from recurring UTIs, dryness, and a feeling she couldn't explain. Like she was emotionally on edge, even when life was calm. She'd quietly given up on sex with her husband. It was too uncomfortable, too frustrating, too risky. Then she started drinking a small glass of unsweetened cranberry juice daily, and added dried cranberries to her salads. It wasn't dramatic, but over a few months the infections stopped. The irritation faded. Her confidence returned. And with it so did connection. Quietly, gently, fully. Here's what's even more surprising. Better kidney function leads to better sexual function, especially in men. When the kidneys are supported, blood pressure normalizes and nitric oxide, the same molecule we talked about with red grapes, is produced more efficiently. That means stronger, more reliable erections, not forced by a pill, but supported by clean internal balance. Experts still debate whether proanthocyanidins are effective in all people, but clinical signs suggest they can dramatically reduce inflammation and bacterial load in the urinary tract, especially when consumed regularly, not just when there's a problem. You know what else cranberries do? They make you mindful. Their tartness isn't something you mindlessly consume. It grabs your attention. And that's part of the medicine too. Awareness, conscious nourishment, intimacy with what you eat, which leads to intimacy with how you feel. Let's not pretend intimacy is just physical. It's comfort. It's feeling safe in your own skin, unburdened by irritation or stress. Cranberries help remove what gets in the way of that safety, physically and emotionally. So if your partner has seemed withdrawn lately, or if you have, consider this. Could it be discomfort? Could it be something quietly brewing in your body, stealing your focus, clouding your desire? Doesn't have to stay that way. Never did. Start with a handful. Sprinkle them on your morning oats. Mix them into a salad. Blend them with a banana for a tart sweet smoothie. Or sip a small glass of 100% cranberry juice with no sugar added. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just has to be consistent. Because every time you choose cranberries, you're not just supporting your urinary health. You're saying yes to freedom, to movement, to that quiet inner sigh of I feel better. And when you feel better, you want to touch, to laugh, to lean in. You want to be close again. Let that closeness begin here, with a fruit that's small but mighty, bold but healing. Let your kidneys smile. Let your body soften. Let your spark return. You deserve ease. You deserve clarity. And yes, you deserve desire that isn't dimmed by discomfort. You reach for your breakfast, and there it is again, that tiny bowl of red grapes, or maybe a few slices of papaya resting next to your eggs, or a spoonful of cranberries sprinkled into your yogurt. It might seem small, almost forgettable, but day by day, that little habit is opening big doors. We often think health changes require sweeping reforms, cutting sugar, joining a gym, overhauling our entire pantry. But more often than not, it's the small daily rhythms that shape our well-being. You don't need to flip your life upside down to feel better. You just need to keep whispering to your body, every single day, I haven't given up on you. You probably remember brushing your teeth as a child. It was annoying, repetitive, something adults forced on you. But now, it's automatic. You do it without thinking because the payoff is invisible but vital. That's exactly how fruit habits work. You don't notice their full power in a single bite, but give it a week, then a month, and you'll feel something shift. Your hands don't go cold as quickly. You stand longer without tiring. You feel just a little more present, not so fogged in. That's how circulation works. It doesn't announce itself. It flows. Quietly. Supportively. And when it improves, so does everything else. Let's zoom in on the real magic. Your blood vessels. Over time, they can stiffen, narrow, or accumulate tiny plaques that slow the flow of oxygen-rich blood. But certain compounds like resveratrol in grapes, anthocyanins in cherries, and enzymes in papaya help preserve the elasticity of those vessels. They keep them flexible, responsive, and strong. Think of it like this. If your vessels are like garden hoses, aging can make them brittle and clogged. But these fruits, they help flush out the buildup and soften the walls. You don't see it happening, but you feel it when you climb stairs with less effort, or when your skin flushes more easily after a walk in the sun. And then there's intimacy. You might not talk about it every day, maybe not even with your partner, but you feel its presence or its absence. A soft ache, a distance, a sense that something tender used to live between you and now it's gone quiet. But that quiet can be broken gently. Adding circulation-friendly fruits into your daily rhythm isn't about forcing a result. It's about building a new normal where your body has what it needs to respond. Intimacy doesn't begin in the bedroom. It begins in the kitchen, in your morning routine, in your decision to say yes to something small and healing. One surprising fact: fruits that improve circulation also help manage blood sugar levels, which in turn protect your nerves. And nerve sensitivity is key to intimacy, for both men and women. Experts still debate whether aging affects nerve endings as much as hormone levels, but many agree that better blood flow equals better sensation. That means a simple choice like a bowl of cherries after dinner can do more than satisfy a craving. It can reconnect you with your own body. You might be thinking, but what if I forget? What if I'm not consistent? That's okay. You're human. This isn't about perfection. It's about invitation. You're inviting your body to feel again, to circulate more freely, to move without resistance. Here's a trick. Tie your fruit habit to something you already do. If you make coffee every morning, eat your grapes while it brews. If you journal at night, pair it with a cherry snack. If you take medication in the morning, chase it with a spoonful of papaya. Make the fruit part of your rhythm, not an extra task. Because when health becomes rhythm, it becomes reality. And slowly, something else begins to shift. You stop seeing your body as something slipping away. You start seeing it as something rising again. Not in youth, but in vitality, in attention, in response. What if every fruit you chose was a form of affection? A quiet I care spoken to your own body? You wouldn't be wrong. So tomorrow and the day after that, build that habit. Keep it gentle. Keep it joyful. No stress, no pressure, just consistent kindness. Because when you give your body even a little of what it needs every day, it often gives you something bigger in return. Energy, ease, and the chance to feel deeply connected again. And that's worth every bite. You're standing barefoot on the cold floor tiles, just about to step into your slippers. But something makes you pause. Your toes feel numb, like they didn't quite get the memo that you've been awake for 5 minutes. That little moment, as ordinary as it seems, might be telling you more than you think. This is the foot test. Not something official, but something your body performs every day. If your feet are often cold, tingly, or slow to wake up, your circulation may be struggling. And that's no small thing. Blood is your body's internal delivery system. It brings oxygen, nutrients, and heat where they're needed. When the flow is restricted, whether from aging arteries, lower nitric oxide levels, or vessel inflammation, your extremities are the first to feel it. Your toes, your fingers, and yes, the intimate areas that rely on microcirculation for sensation and arousal. You might remember hearing about circulation in the context of heart health, keeping arteries clear, avoiding blood clots. But poor circulation doesn't just raise your risk of heart attacks. It affects your quality of life in dozens of smaller, sneakier ways. Like slower healing. Like feeling colder inside. Like a fading desire for connection that isn't just emotional. It's physical. Now here's something surprising. One of the best ways to assess your lower body circulation is by monitoring how long your feet take to warm up naturally after a cold exposure. Experts still debate how accurate this DIY test is, but many agree it gives you an easy signal. If your feet remain icy for over 20 minutes in a warm room, your blood flow may be lagging. So, where do fruit and food come into play? Think of red grapes. Their resveratrol content encourages your blood vessels to open. That means more warmth, more responsiveness. Papaya, with its anti-inflammatory enzymes, keeps your capillaries clean and flexible. Cherries improve the integrity of your vessels and help regulate your sleep, because poor rest is a silent thief of circulation. And cranberries? They protect your kidneys, which play a key role in blood pressure regulation. Another vital piece of this puzzle. Let's take this back to your body. If your lower legs, toes, or even your intimate regions feel colder than the rest of you, it's not just the weather. It's the blood flow. And that's something you can help. Start paying attention. When you climb into bed, do your legs feel cool for longer than the rest of you? When you're in a moment of closeness, does warmth come easily? Or does it feel like your body's lagging behind your mind? These aren't just odd sensations. They're signals. Now imagine adding a handful of grapes to your lunch every day. A week in, you notice you're not reaching for fuzzy socks at 2 p.m. You sit outside in the morning, and instead of retreating from the breeze, you breathe it in. Something's shifting. That's your body waking up from the ground up. Here's a fact that doesn't get enough attention. Over time, the small vessels in your legs and pelvic region lose their elasticity first. They're further from the heart, more sensitive to stress, and more likely to narrow without you noticing. But when you feed those vessels well, with fruits rich in antioxidants and vasodilators, they begin to respond again. Like old pipes clearing themselves out with a fresh flow of water. The result? Your body feels more alive. Not just generally but specifically in the areas that matter for connection, for touch, for shared warmth. One man once told me, "It's not that I lost interest in my partner. I just stopped feeling present in those moments." He started using the foot test as his personal barometer. The better his toes felt in the morning, the more emotionally available he felt by night. That may sound strange, but it makes perfect sense. Blood flow is presence. And presence is the soul of intimacy. You don't need to run marathons or start an intense fitness plan. You just need to care for your circulation. And that starts with listening to the whispers, like numb toes and slow warmth, and answering with nourishment. So tonight, when you stretch under the blankets and feel the temperature of your body, don't just brush it off. Ask yourself, is my blood flowing like it should? If not, don't panic. Just respond. Reach for what helps. Add those fruits back into your rhythm, not as a cure, as a quiet nudge, as a form of respect for the vessel that carries you through every moment. From the tips of your toes to the depths of your closeness, everything gets better when the blood flows free. You walk past the medicine cabinet, eyeing the row of plastic bottles. Some you take daily, others you've forgotten why you bought. The labels promise energy, circulation, performance. But deep down you wonder, is this really how I want to care for my body? Then your eyes shift to the kitchen. A bowl of cherries. A container of red grapes. The half papaya you sliced yesterday, still fresh and golden. They don't have bold claims written on them. No fancy branding. Just quiet, living proof of nature's rhythm. This is the contrast that matters, fruits versus pills. You probably already know the basics. Many medications come with side effects. Headaches, digestive issues, mood swings. Even the ones that work can leave you wondering what they're taking from you while they give you something else. With age, our tolerance for synthetic fixes lowers, not just physically but emotionally too. We crave simpler things, gentler things, fewer surprises. And here's what makes fruits so extraordinary. They don't force your body. They work with it. They support your natural processes instead of overriding them. Red grapes, for example, don't trigger blood flow like medication might. They improve vessel health over time. They coax nitric oxide production, rather than blast it open. It's like the difference between screaming at a locked door and gently unlocking it. Papaya doesn't flood your system with testosterone. It supports your body's own ability to regulate hormones. Slower, yes, but it's steadier, more sustainable. You feel the benefits build instead of spike. That's the real magic. Fruits ask your body to participate, not surrender. Let's be honest. Many people turn to pills because they're tired of trying, tired of slow change, tired of waiting. That's understandable. But here's the truth nobody tells you. Slow change is usually the one that lasts. There's also something else, the way food affects your mind. You sit down with a bowl of grapes. No instructions. No clock to follow. Just taste, texture, nourishment. That's calming in a way no pill ever could be. It's grounding. And grounding is exactly what intimacy needs to thrive. One surprising detail about the human body? Your taste receptors aren't just in your mouth. They exist in your gut too. Your body is literally tasting what you eat long after you swallow it. That means every bite is a message, not just to your brain but to your whole internal system. I'm safe. I'm nourished. I'm responding. Experts still debate whether the placebo effect is more powerful in food than in medication, but the emotional bond we have with natural, whole foods is undeniable. I once worked with a man who had been taking erectile dysfunction medication for years. It worked, sort of. But he hated how it made him feel, pressured, mechanical, disconnected. He started adding more fruits to his diet. Not just the 4 we're talking about here, but especially grapes and cherries. 3 months later, he stopped using the medication entirely. Not because he cured himself, but because he rebuilt a relationship with his own body. He told me, "I don't feel like I'm performing anymore. I feel like I'm participating again." That shift? That's everything. So let's stop viewing fruit as something you should eat. Start seeing it as a form of therapy, a daily gesture of self-trust, one that doesn't come in a blister pack or need a prescription. There's no shame in needing medical support. There's no pride in suffering without it. But what matters is balance. What matters is choice. And when you choose foods that your body recognizes, whole, vibrant, alive, you're choosing to engage instead of override, to restore rather than replace. You may not feel it on day 1, but you'll feel it on day 12 and even more on day 30. That quiet confidence in your steps. That warmth returning to your skin. That moment of closeness when you don't pull away because you actually want to lean in. Fruits aren't fast, but they are faithful. They show up in your bloodstream, your skin, your hormones. They don't fix everything, but they help everything work better together. So tomorrow morning as you make that choice, fruit or pill, shortcut or steady path, pause. Ask yourself, do I want to override my body, or do I want to remind it? You already know the answer. Choose what nourishes. Choose what listens. Choose what leads you back to yourself, one bite at a time. You're sitting across from your partner at dinner. The light is warm. The food smells good. But there's something in the air. Not tension exactly, but distance. Maybe it's been a week. Maybe it's been months. Maybe there's been no argument, no blow-up. Just that slow slide from hand-holding to habit. From passion to politeness. And you wonder, can it come back? The answer is yes. But not the way you think. Because intimacy doesn't return through pressure. It doesn't bloom through guilt or performance or a new bedroom trick. No, real intimacy comes back like the tide. Slowly, consistently, through small shifts in presence and feeling. And those small shifts often start inside your body. They start with blood flow, with hormone balance, with your nervous system feeling safe again, with your skin remembering what it's like to tingle at a touch. And sometimes, believe it or not, they start with fruit. You might be skeptical. That's okay. But think about it. When your circulation improves, when your energy returns, when your sleep deepens, when your gut is calm and your mind is clear, doesn't everything else feel easier? You've likely heard the phrase, desire follows safety. It's true. The body needs to feel good before it can feel open. That's why so many couples over 60 struggle. Not because the love is gone, but because the body's signaling systems have grown quieter, slower. Fogged by inflammation, fatigue, poor blood flow. But nature has a way of clearing fog. Red grapes help restore the flexibility of vessels so blood can flow where it needs to. Not just to your brain or heart, but to the small vital pathways of your pelvis. Papaya supports testosterone and estrogen balance, so that your desire isn't a memory but a feeling. Cranberries clear irritation, remove discomfort, make space for calm. And cherries? Cherries help you rest. And after good rest, connection blooms. Let me share a story. There was a woman named Carol and her husband, Tom. Both in their early 70s, married for 48 years. She told me that intimacy had become something they remembered. Not something they lived. Not because they didn't love each other, but because their bodies had stopped responding. They tried therapy. They read books. Nothing stuck. Then they changed their habits. Not with medications but with food. Grapes with lunch. Papaya with yogurt. Cranberries at breakfast. Cherries before bed. They didn't expect much. But within a few weeks, Carol said she felt awake again. Not just emotionally but physically. They laughed more. Held each other more. And eventually, yes, made love again. Not with performance but with presence. That's the kind of intimacy fruit helps restore. It doesn't force your body into action. It reminds it how to respond. One surprising thing about the human body: your skin is your largest sensory organ. It's rich in nerve endings responsive to temperature, touch, and pressure. But it needs blood to feel. And as circulation improves, so does your ability to feel everything more deeply, including closeness, comfort, and pleasure. Experts still debate whether intimacy declines with age due to physical changes or relationship dynamics. But the couples who feel better physically often find the emotional connection flows more freely too. That's the beauty of nature's rhythm. Everything supports everything else. Better sleep supports better hormones. Better hormones support better blood flow. Better blood flow supports better touch. Better touch leads to more connection. And here's a bit of humor. One gentleman I met said his papaya habit put the spark back in his step and a wink in his wife's smile. That's what we're after. Not fireworks. Just warmth. Return. Recognition. So tonight, when you look at your partner across the table, or beside you on the couch, ask yourself, what if the distance isn't permanent? What if it's just physical? Then ask another question. What if a bowl of fruit could be the beginning of closing that gap? Because here's what I know. The body responds when it's nourished. The heart softens when it feels safe. And touch returns when the pathways are open. You're not too old. You're not past the point. You're just one habit away from waking it all back up. Start now. With food. With intention. With a quiet yes. You're reaching for a book on the top shelf when it happens again. That little chill across your fingers. You pull your hand back, rubbing your palm, wondering why you feel like you've been standing in the cold when you're inside your own house. It's not the thermostat. Something deeper. Something flowing or not flowing beneath the skin. Cold hands. Cold feet. It's easy to brush off as just part of aging, isn't it? But your body is trying to tell you something. That subtle chill? That's not just about temperature. It's about circulation. Blood isn't reaching your extremities as easily as it used to, and that affects more than just your comfort. It affects everything from your focus to your sensuality. You probably remember hearing someone say, cold hands, warm heart. Cute but not medically accurate. In truth, cold hands often mean your heart is working harder to push blood through stiffening vessels. As those vessels lose elasticity, blood flow becomes less efficient, especially to the body's furthest corners. Your hands, your feet, and your intimate regions. This isn't about vanity. It's not about chasing youth. It's about restoring feeling. Not just physically but emotionally too. The human body is brilliant. Prioritizes. When circulation slows, it protects your brain and core organs first. But the parts that define how you experience touch, pleasure, and physical connection, they quietly take the hit. That's why something as simple as cold feet can be a clue. A clue that your body isn't receiving what it needs to respond fully. And when those signals weaken, intimacy becomes more difficult, not out of desire but out of physiology. Now here's the hopeful part. This can change. Let's go back to red grapes. Remember resveratrol? It doesn't just help the big vessels. It helps the small ones too. The capillaries in your fingers, your toes, and yes, your pelvic floor. When those vessels open and strengthen, warmth returns. Responsiveness returns. Touch starts to mean something again. Cherries also play a role here. Their anti-inflammatory properties reduce pressure on the vascular system, allowing blood to move freely. And when you're warm, your body feels safe. When your body feels safe, it becomes easier to connect, both emotionally and physically. I once met a woman who described her return to intimacy like this. It started with my feet. She laughed when she said it, but she was serious. After a few weeks of eating circulation-supporting fruits, she noticed her feet no longer felt icy in bed. She began to sleep better. And with that rest came a lifting of the fog, a return to clarity, and eventually desire. That's the power of paying attention. Papaya, with its gentle enzyme support, helps your body absorb nutrients that improve circulation indirectly, through better digestion, improved hormone synthesis, and lowered inflammation. And cranberries? They keep your kidneys strong, your blood pressure stable, and your vessel walls supple. All of this works together to thaw the places that aging tries to chill. Here's something interesting. Your fingertips and genitals are both highly sensitive to changes in blood flow. They share similar types of nerve endings. So, if your hands feel dull, your intimacy might too. Experts still debate the direct correlation, but the anecdotal pattern is strong. When circulation improves in one area, the others often follow. And don't underestimate the emotional layer of this. When your hands and feet are warm, your whole body reads that as a sign of wellness. You feel more present, more attuned, more willing to reach out, literally and figuratively. So here's your challenge: notice. Pay attention to temperature, to texture, to touch. Do your hands feel ready for connection? Or are they retreating without your permission? Then support them. Eat the fruit. Take the walk. Stretch in the morning sunlight. Add these small rituals into your life and slowly the chill begins to fade. What returns is more than just heat. It's presence. It's possibility. Because when your hands are warm, they want to hold again. When your feet feel alive, they carry you toward closeness. And when your body feels fed, you stop apologizing for wanting more. You are allowed to feel good. You are allowed to feel again. And it all starts with warmth inside and out. You wake up before the sun. The house is quiet. You stretch slowly, listening to the small creaks in your joints. You feel rested, but not quite refreshed. Your eyes are open, but your mind feels like it's still buffering. That familiar grogginess? That's poor sleep talking. And whether you realize it or not, it's whispering into every part of your health, including your intimacy. We often separate sleep from everything else, as if what happens at night doesn't affect the day. But here's the truth. Sleep is the foundation for every other system in your body. When you rest deeply, your hormones regulate. Your blood flows better. Your heart rate steadies. Your emotional resilience returns. And yes, your desire to connect, to touch, to laugh, to share rises. One of the most surprising facts about the body? Sleep directly impacts your circulatory system. During deep sleep, your blood pressure drops, your heart gets a break, and your vessels repair. Think of it like your body's maintenance shift, recalibrating everything from nitric oxide levels to stress hormones. But what if your sleep isn't what it used to be? Maybe you fall asleep fast, but wake up at 3 a.m. staring at the ceiling. Or maybe you toss and turn, your body tired but your mind racing. Either way, poor sleep chips away at your energy, your mood, and eventually your intimacy. That's where cherries come in. Cherries, especially tart cherries, are one of the few natural food sources of melatonin, the hormone that regulates your sleep-wake cycle. Unlike over-the-counter melatonin supplements that can leave you groggy or disrupt your rhythm, cherries offer a gentle, food-based nudge toward better rest. You sip a small glass of tart cherry juice before bed, or you eat a bowl of fresh cherries as your evening wind-down snack. It's not a sedative, it's a signal, a soft whisper to your body. It's time to rest now. And when you sleep better, everything gets better. Your body repairs more efficiently. Your emotions regulate. You stop snapping at your loved ones for small things. You find yourself more open, more playful, more interested. One man told me, "It wasn't until I started sleeping better that I realized how numb I'd been. Not physically, but emotionally. I thought I didn't care anymore. But really I was just exhausted." That exhaustion runs deep. It seeps into your blood flow, your hormone cycles, your desire to be close with anyone. But sleep, true restorative sleep, pulls you back up. Cherries help with that. But they don't work in isolation. Red grapes keep your vessels open through the night. Papaya eases digestion so your sleep isn't interrupted by bloating or inflammation. Cranberries support kidney function, helping you avoid that 2 a.m. bathroom run that breaks your sleep cycle. It all works together. Experts still debate whether food can fully replace traditional sleep therapy, but study after study shows that small dietary changes, especially those involving circulation-supporting fruits, can significantly improve sleep quality. And when you sleep deeply, your hormones stabilize, especially testosterone, estrogen, and cortisol. That means more balanced energy during the day, less anxiety, and greater openness to connection. Have you ever noticed that after a great night of sleep, everything feels easier? You smile more. You take things less personally. You move slower but more confidently. That's not just mood, it's biology. So tonight, instead of scrolling through your phone in bed, try something different. Turn the lights low. Eat a small bowl of cherries. Sip some warm tea. Let your body settle into the idea that rest is allowed. That slowing down isn't laziness, it's medicine. Because when your sleep is deep, your mornings are lighter. And when your mornings are lighter, your day has more room for warmth, spontaneity, and touch. One gentle routine, one bowl of cherries. That's all it takes to start turning your nights into the restoration they're meant to be. Let your sleep be sacred. Let it support you. And let it softly lead you back to the kind of connection that can only grow in a body that's truly rested. You don't need more effort. You need more rest. And you're allowed to have it. You're sitting at the table stirring your coffee when it hits you, the tightness in your stomach, the low-level bloat that's become too familiar. It doesn't stop your day, but it slows you down. That sluggish digestion, the heaviness after meals, the feeling like your gut's in a fog. It's more than annoying. It's intimacy's silent thief. Let's talk about your gut. Not just in terms of digestion, but as the control center of how you feel, respond, and connect. Because here's something many people don't know. Your gut and your brain are constantly talking. And when your digestion is off, so is everything else. Your mood, your energy, your desire to reach out and touch someone. You've probably heard that papaya helps with digestion, and it does. But what you might not realize is how deeply that affects intimacy. When your belly is calm, you're more comfortable in your skin. You move easier. You laugh without holding back. You feel less guarded, more alive. It starts with papain, the enzyme in papaya that helps break down protein. When your meals are easier to digest, your body doesn't get bogged down in the sludge of slow metabolism. That means more nutrients make it to your bloodstream, your brain gets more oxygen, and your nervous system relaxes. And when your nervous system relaxes, your body opens up. Sensation returns. Touch feels good again, not overwhelming or itchy or too much. Here's a surprising detail. More than 90% of your body's serotonin is produced in your gut. That's your feel-good, mood-stabilizing hormone. So if your gut is unhappy, your emotions follow. Experts still debate whether depression and anxiety start in the gut or the brain, but either way, the link is real. When digestion improves, so does your overall emotional tone. I once spoke with a man in his late 60s who had slowly withdrawn from his wife. He wasn't angry. He wasn't uninterested. He was uncomfortable, bloating, gas, irregular digestion. He felt unsexy, heavy, disconnected from his body. So he pulled back and intimacy vanished. We changed one thing. He added papaya to his morning routine. Within a month, the bloating was gone. Within 2, the spark was back. He told me, "It's like I stopped bracing myself for everything. Now I just show up." That's what a calm gut gives you, freedom to show up. And don't forget women. Estrogen plays a huge role in gut motility. And as it declines, many women experience slower digestion, more discomfort, and emotional swings. Papaya helps ease that transition. It smooths things out, physically and emotionally, making the body a place you want to live in, not escape from. Cranberries pitch in here too. They fight off the low-grade inflammation that can cloud the gut, and by extension, the brain. When your belly feels clean, your mind feels clear. When you're not focused on internal discomfort, you're more able to be present, to laugh, to touch. And it's not just the gut that affects intimacy. It's the way digestive stress affects posture, breathing, and even how close you want someone to be. Think about it. When you're bloated, do you want to cuddle? Probably not. But when your stomach is flat, calm, and light, everything opens up. It's the invisible side of connection. The comfort in your own body that lets you lean toward someone instead of away from them. You can support that every day with simple choices. Papaya slices with breakfast. A cranberry smoothie mid-morning. A conscious effort to chew slower, breathe deeper, and let digestion take its time. These are acts of intimacy too. Not with someone else, but with yourself. So next time you feel off, check your gut. Ask it what it needs. More fiber. More fruit. Less rushing through meals. Give it what it asks for. Because when you nurture your digestion, you're nurturing your hormones, your energy, your desire. And when those align, intimacy stops feeling like a goal and starts feeling like a natural response. Let your belly be soft. Let your mind be quiet. Let food be the bridge between disconnection and closeness. The road back to desire isn't always paved with passion. Sometimes it's lined with papaya seeds. You bend over to tie your shoes and feel it. That subtle ache in your knees, the tightness in your back, The quiet burn in your joints that wasn't there 20 years ago. You stand back up slower than you meant to and take a breath. It's not unbearable. It's just constant. And that constant is what begins to wear down not just your energy but your spark. Pain, even low-level, manageable pain, changes how you live. It makes you cautious, reserved, and often withdrawn. You might not connect joint stiffness or chronic inflammation to your love life, but they're deeply intertwined. When your body feels inflamed, swollen, or stiff, you subconsciously protect it. You avoid sudden movement. You flinch at unexpected touch. You lose interest in being close, not out of disinterest but self-preservation. This is why addressing inflammation is more than a wellness goal. It's an act of emotional and relational restoration. And here's where your fruity allies step in again. Cherries, particularly tart cherries, are some of nature's most powerful anti-inflammatory foods. They reduce C-reactive protein, CRP, a marker of inflammation in the body. Less inflammation means more freedom of movement, less joint pain, and most importantly, less mental preoccupation with discomfort. Red grapes help too. Their antioxidants not only improve circulation but protect your tissues from oxidative stress, one of the key drivers of inflammation. And cranberries? They're inflammation's quiet enemy, working through your urinary and vascular systems to reduce pressure, puffiness, and pain. You probably remember someone telling you that inflammation is the root of all disease. That's not just a medical cliché. Chronic inflammation affects everything. Your mood, your blood flow, your sleep, your digestion, and yes, your libido. Here's a surprising fact. Studies show that even mild systemic inflammation can reduce testosterone levels in men and disrupt estrogen balance in women. That means less drive, slower recovery, and a kind of foggy detachment that makes intimacy feel distant. I met a man once who described it perfectly. He said, "It's not that I didn't want to be with my wife. I just didn't feel ready. Like my body wasn't available, even though my heart was." When he added cherries to his evening routine and swapped one processed snack a day for grapes, he noticed something within weeks. Fewer aches, more mobility, more laughter, more reaching for his wife's hand without hesitation. You see, inflammation is like background noise. It hums beneath your awareness, eating up attention and energy. But when it quiets down, your mind clears. Your shoulders drop. You feel like you again. Papaya contributes here, too, with its enzymes and vitamins reducing the kind of gut-based inflammation that spills into your bloodstream. It eases your digestion, but also your immune system, which is constantly engaged in battles you don't even feel until you do. Experts still debate whether food alone can reverse inflammation-related conditions. But the evidence is clear. Certain fruits consistently lower inflammation markers in blood tests, especially when consumed regularly and paired with other gentle lifestyle changes like walking, stretching, and restful sleep. So what does this mean for your closeness? It means that by soothing your body, you invite back your willingness to connect. You're not avoiding movement, flinching at touch, or dreading what used to bring joy. You're moving freely, touching without tension, being with someone not carefully but completely. Because the truth is, intimacy isn't just about excitement. It's about comfort, trust, the feeling that your body can handle closeness without recoiling. So let this be your daily practice. A few cherries with dinner, a scoop of papaya in your morning bowl, a walk after lunch to help reduce inflammation naturally. These are not small acts. They're signals to your body that you want to feel good again, and to your partner that you're still in this together. Let food be your anti-inflammatory. Let fruit be your relief. Let closeness be your reward. And let pain no longer stand between you and the life you deserve. You're chopping fruit at the counter. Maybe it's red grapes for a salad or fresh papaya for breakfast. The knife moves rhythmically, the colors are vibrant, and for a moment you feel grounded. There's something satisfying about preparing something real with your own hands. And whether you realize it or not, this little moment, the choice, the action, the offering, is a form of connection. That's what this section is about. How connection begins in the kitchen. You probably think of intimacy as something that happens in the bedroom, but in truth it starts long before that, in the way you care for your body and the food you choose, and in the way you share those choices with someone else. Imagine this. Your partner walks into the kitchen and sees you placing a bowl of cherries on the table. Not for a special occasion, just because. No words are needed. The gesture says it all. I want us to feel good together. It's a quiet act of love. A moment of care that ripples forward into the rest of your day. That's the thing about food. It's not just fuel, it's language. It says I see you. I want us to be well. I believe in our vitality. And when you make these choices together, even small ones, they become rituals. Anchors. Invitations to reconnect. One couple I worked with started what they called fruit o'clock. Every afternoon around 3:30, they would pause whatever they were doing, sit together, and share a plate of grapes or papaya or dried cranberries with nuts. Just 15 minutes. No phones. No stress. Just chewing, chatting, being. 3 weeks into that habit, the wife told me, "We haven't been this close in years. Not because of the fruit, but because we slowed down together." That's the real gift. These fruits aren't just tools for better blood flow or hormone support. They're bridges. Ways to step out of autopilot and back into intention. And here's a fun twist. The act of preparing food engages multiple senses: sight, touch, smell, taste. That sensory engagement reawakens parts of your brain and nervous system that are also involved in pleasure, affection, and physical connection. When you slice, squeeze, chew, and savor, you're not just feeding your body, you're waking it up. This matters even more as we age. Because routine can dull the edges of excitement. Days can blend. But shared rituals like a bowl of cherries after dinner, or a papaya smoothie made for two, carve out space for new energy to enter. You probably remember the feeling of cooking together with someone. The casual bump of shoulders, the flirtatious exchange over seasoning, the stolen grape or kiss. That never had to end. You just need to bring it back. Not with a grand gesture, but with a simple one. One surprising detail. The act of feeding another person actually stimulates oxytocin, the bonding hormone. That's right. Offering someone a piece of fruit can create the same neurological ripple as a warm hug or a long embrace. Experts still debate how much of our emotional closeness is built through verbal connection versus physical proximity. But one thing is certain: sharing food is one of humanity's oldest ways of saying, "You matter to me." So tonight, instead of watching TV on opposite sides of the room, try preparing a fruit plate together. Or better yet, surprise your partner with one. No agenda. No expectation. Just care. Let the juice run down your fingers. Let the colors brighten your evening. Let the act remind you that your relationship is not on pause. It's just waiting for a little nourishment. The kitchen is a sacred space. Not because it's perfect or pristine, but because it's real. It's where your hands meet the earth's offerings. It's where your choices shape your health. And when shared, it's where connection quietly begins again. So slice, scoop, chew, offer. Let fruit be your love language. Let care be your rhythm. And let this be the moment when closeness returns. Not with words, but with the simple act of feeding one another with intention. You wake up one morning and the sun feels just a little warmer on your skin. Your steps feel a touch lighter, your mind a bit clearer, and your hand instinctively reaches for someone else's. It's not magic. It's not sudden. It's the slow unfolding of daily choices taking root. The way one piece of fruit, one small gesture becomes a rhythm, and that rhythm becomes a return. That's what this is really about. Not just grapes or papaya or cherries or cranberries, but the quiet, daily flow they represent. A life that's moving again. A body that's circulating. A spirit that's not holding back. You've probably noticed by now, intimacy isn't something you schedule. It's something that shows up when your body feels ready, your mind feels rested, and your heart feels open. When blood is flowing, your senses return. Your awareness expands. You remember what it feels like to be in your own skin. Comfortable, confident, and curious again. This is the daily flow. The sweet acidity of cranberries giving your kidneys a boost, and protecting the pathways that keep intimacy comfortable and clean. The deep, relaxing warmth of cherries preparing your body for rest. And in that rest, restoring your hormones so your mornings feel lighter, and your touch more natural. The tropical richness of papaya, awakening your digestion and your energy. So you're not just going through the motions, you're showing up, fully. And the deep purple burst of red grapes, bringing oxygen to places that had gone quiet, warming your fingers, your toes, your most private sense of presence. This is where intimacy begins, not in the bedroom but in your bloodstream. Not with a pill but with a plate. Not as a reaction but as a rhythm. You probably remember the phrase, use it or lose it. But here's a better one. Nourish it and it will return. Your connection, your desire, your comfort, your spark. It never really left. It was simply waiting for the right conditions to bloom again. Experts still debate whether aging is more about decline or adaptation. But one thing is becoming clear. Your body is always willing to respond, if you feed it what it needs and give it time. So here's what you do. You eat the fruit. You build the habit. You make it daily, not difficult. You stop judging yourself by what you used to feel. And start trusting what's returning now. Because when your body is fed, your heart follows. When your vessels are soft, your touch softens. When your nights are restful, your days are brighter. And when you feel good again, you look across the table or across the bed and think, this is still ours. You didn't lose it. You just needed to clear the path. Wind down 300 words. So now let's slow everything down. Let the thoughts settle. Let your breath deepen. Picture yourself walking through your kitchen tomorrow morning. The light is soft. The air smells like something fresh. You reach for a bowl. You choose fruit not because of what you read here, but because it feels right. You sit down, maybe alone, maybe with someone you love. You choose slowly. You taste. You breathe. You let your shoulders drop. You feel the moment stretch, quiet, unhurried, whole. And as that fruit does its quiet work, circulating, softening, opening, you begin to notice yourself again. Not the you from 30 years ago. Not the you you're supposed to be. Just you as you are, with warmth in your fingers, clarity in your thoughts, and maybe, just maybe, a renewed sense of desire blooming in the background. That's the beauty of this. It doesn't demand anything dramatic. It just asks you to listen, to feed your body gently, to believe just a little, that your best days aren't behind you. They're waiting for your attention. So sleep deeply tonight. Let the weight lift from your joints, your heart, your thoughts. And when you wake up tomorrow, let the day begin not with a rush, but with a choice, to nourish, to feel, to reach. Because you're not finished. You're just beginning again.